Hey guys, and welcome to my channel. My name is Aubrey and this is my channel, and here we discuss all things from business, entrepreneurship, things like Turo, Airbnb, investing, personal finance, and everything in between. If that sort of thing is something that interests you and you want to learn how you can become a more successful entrepreneur and grow your business, then make sure to hit that subscribe button and hit that like button. I would greatly appreciate it. It helps my channel grow and it helps me make more videos on this channel. If you are already subscribed, then I greatly appreciate you and welcome back. So today's video is going to be another Turo video, and I want to talk about how to not get screwed by Turo. For those of you that are new here, I am a Turo host. I have over a dozen cars on the platform. I've been on the platform since 2017, and I have over 1,000 trips on the platform. Now, in those 1,000 trips, I have never once been screwed by a claim or a damage claim or a fee on Turo. And I think a big reason for that is because I always make sure that I follow all the steps that I need to follow to a T. I don't cut corners, I follow the terms of service, and I make sure that I am doing everything by the book so that if there's a claim, there's no question but for them to approve it. So in today's video, I want to talk about how to avoid getting screwed by Turo and how I've managed to go over 1,000 trips never feeling like I've been screwed by Turo and by their claims department. So let's dig in. So the first and the most important step of not getting screwed by Turo is to read the terms of service. This is something that I've talked about in multiple videos now, and I will continue to talk about it as long as I'm doing YouTube. And that is the topic of read your terms of service. If you are renting out a car on Turo and you have not read the terms of service, then you are just shooting yourself in the foot and you are setting yourself for absolute failure. The terms of service lay out everything that you need to know about Turo. They say what vehicles are eligible, what you need to do during your check-in process, what you need to do during your checkout process, what time frame you have to file claims, what time frame you have to file fees, what you can charge for, what you can't charge for, how much you can charge for, what your expectations are as a host, what the guest expectations are as a guest. It is literally your Bible for Turo. So if you don't read that, you are absolutely setting yourself up to get royally screwed by Turo and their claims department. So make sure to read that. Everything I'm saying in this video can also be found in that terms of service, but I am not going to be cover everything that's in the terms of service. So all of the items that I'm going to be talking about today are in the terms of service, but not all of the items in the terms of service are items that I'll be talking about today. So go and read it. It should take an afternoon. Go to a Starbucks, get a coffee, and read yourself the terms of service. You will not regret it, and you will be a smarter and more well-prepared host because of it. Number two is to take your photos. Now, this is something that seems so common sense, but it blows my mind whenever I hear that people don't do this. In fact, I was speaking to a gentleman earlier this week who says that he parks all of his cars at the airport and he never checks them in between rentals. He just allows the guests to check them in and out themselves, which means that a guest could return a car at the airport at 2 p.m. It will go back on another rental at 4 p.m. and he won't go in between there and check out the car, make sure it's clean, make sure it's not damaged, and take photos. And this blew my mind. I do not understand how people can invest thousands of dollars into a business, sometimes tens of thousands of dollars into a business, and they don't take the time out to check in the cars between rentals. This is something that I do every single rental. I have never once not done this step of taking photos between rentals. It is so important that between each and every rental, you go to the car, you take photos, you make sure that it's clean, you make sure that there's no damage to the vehicle, driving it around and make sure that the functionality is okay. Because something like brake damage or wheel damage or suspension damage won't be evident by just looking at the vehicle. So oftentimes whenever I check in a car, I'll also go and I'll drive around the parking lot to make sure that the car is driving fine. I'll test the brakes, just kind of do like a 2 to 5 minute drive and make sure everything's working as it should. So whenever you go to check in a car, do all of these things and then make sure to take photos before and after each rental. Take photos of the center console because typically whenever people smoke in cars, that's the area where the smoke and the ash is going to accumulate. Take photos of the odometer and the gas reading because if your guest doesn't return the car full of gas, that's going to be your evidence for that. If the guest returns the car over mileage, the odometer is going to be your evidence for that. Make sure to take pictures of tires and tire tread because if a renter has a nail that goes into a tire during a rental and you don't have photo evidence showing that your tires were in good condition, then you could be denied that claim. And lastly, take pictures of every body panel, whether it be the front bumper, the back bumper, the fenders, the doors, everything. There are going to be times whenever your damage claims aren't approved because the damage is too small, but I have heard of people who have significant damage on cars and they don't get covered because they didn't have the photos to prove it. So take photos and check in and out your cars every single time. Do not cut corners on this. And if you can't physically be there yourself, then find somebody that can help you. For me, if I have to go on vacation or I have to go out of town, I'll find somebody that can take these photos and check in these cars for me. I never allow the renter to do it because I am setting myself for failure if I do that. And the other thing to keep in mind is that a vehicle has to be checked in no more than 24 hours before a rental and no later than 24 hours after a renter, which means that you cannot check in a car 25 hours before the rental starts. You cannot check out the car 25 hours after the rental ends. It has to be in that 24-hour window. And Turo will look at the data attached to the photo and see when that photo was taken and when you checked in and checked out that car. And if you did not do it in that 24-hour time frame, then your claim will be denied. And the other important note on top of that is that even if you have a car, let's say you have a car that hasn't been rented out for a few days, it's Tuesday, you took your photos, you did your check-in process, the car is good. But let's say that that car didn't get rented out until Thursday, 48 hours after you took that photo. The car hasn't moved since then, it hasn't been on a rental, it hasn't accumulated any mileage, you know that the car is in the exact same condition that it was in whenever you took those photos 48 hours ago. But that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if the car has not been on a rental. It doesn't matter if the car hasn't moved. It doesn't matter if the car is in the exact same condition that it was whenever you took those photos. If the car is going out on a rental more than 24 hours after you took your check-in photos, you have to retake the photos. There is absolutely no exception to that. So make sure to remember that. It is so, so important. And this goes to kind of a secondary point of saying, make sure that your cars are in a convenient location that allows for you to check in your cars between every rental. I don't do airport drop-offs or deliveries. I've never done a Turo exchange at an airport. Why? Because I know that I cannot get to the airport between every single rental. It's just not sustainable for me. It's not realistic. I live too far from the airport. So I instead have a lot that I rent that's literally down the street from my house. I could walk there if I wanted to, and I do often walk there. And so my lot location is so close to my house that I have no excuse not to go check in a car. And so that's something that you need to keep in mind for yourself, is that whenever you're deciding on a location to rent your cars from, make sure that it's a location that you can sustainably go to between every single rental. Because if it's something that's like 30, 45 minutes, an hour away, that's something that's not going to be sustainable long term, and it's putting yourself at risk of taking those shortcuts of not taking photos between rentals, and that's going to put you at severe risk of getting a damage claim denied. Number 3 is to check your guest's driver's license. This is again a point that's found in the terms of service, is you have to check the license of your guest every single time they rent from you. I have returning guests that have rented from me every single week for the last year, and every single time I have to have them send me a photo of their driver's license. There are 2 photos that are required by Turo. One of the guest driver's license and one of them holding their license, like a selfie. So like a photo that they take of a selfie of them holding their license next to their face so that you can compare the photo of the license to the photo of themselves and make sure that the person who has the license is the person who actually owns the license, and you need to make sure that that person is the person who owns the Turo account that's renting your vehicle. Now, if you do car exchanges and key exchanges in person, then really what they have to do is they just have to show you their license. But I still recommend that you take that photo because it's good information to have. It's good to know where they live, what their name is, what their date of birth is. But if you do remote key exchanges, then it is so important to get those 2 photos and have them attach those photos in the trip photo section of the app. Whenever I have a car that goes missing or a car that's in an accident or a damage claim that's filed, one of the very first questions that Turo asks is, did you confirm the guest driver's license? And I have heard of major claims getting denied because the person did not get a photo of the guest's license. In fact, my personal policy is that if the guest does not send me their license, then they don't get the car. It's as easy as that. And I've had guests that have gotten extremely angry with me because they're driving to my location to get the keys. They are actually at the vehicle, but they refuse to send me their driver's license, and they simply don't get the car. I mean, they cannot continue with the reservation if they do not send me those 2 photos of their license. This is absolutely crucial. I would say more so than taking photos of the car, more so than checking the car in between each rental. And it is just so important to check that license and to verify that license, because if you don't have that, even if the person has a valid license, even if the person is the valid account holder, if you know that, but you still don't have those photos, Turo could deny your claim, and you're putting yourself at severe risk by not getting those 2 photos. Another point is to be realistic with your damage claims. One of the reasons why I have never had a damage claim denied is because I know what the policy is with damage claims. With my insurance policy that I've chosen with Turo, I am not eligible to claim damage on damage that is less than 3 inches. So if a scratch is this big, I can't claim it. It doesn't fall under the insurance policy. But if a windshield is chipped, or if a tire has a nail in it, or if there's a huge dent in the bumper, then those things are covered. But with my insurance policy and with the way that I do business with Turo, there is inevitably damage that happens to my cars that aren't covered under damage. But it is my responsibility as the host to know what damage qualifies for coverage and what damage doesn't. And it's important for you yourself to know that as well, because just because I haven't been denied a claim doesn't mean I haven't had claims that I've lost money on. There has been a ton of door dings done to my cars. There's been a ton of little scratches. My cars have accumulated so much wear and tear over the years. It's ridiculous. But there's a difference between a damage claim and just simply a cost of doing business. And those little claims are just a cost of doing business. But keep in mind that if you try to claim those small damages, those scratches less than 3 inches, those door dings, Turo will eventually catch on, and they'll probably punish you for that. In fact, I've recently heard of people getting emails from Turo saying that their damage claim rate is too high, and they're now under probation, saying that if they do any more claims, if they continue claiming at the rate that they're claiming, they'll be banned from the platform. And I think a big part of that is people doing these frivolous claims on small scratches, on small dings, on little dents that are less than 3 inches. And so it's important for you to understand that not everything is going to be covered under Turo, and you should only be filing claims on things that you really feel like you should be filing a claim for. And those are things like windshield damage, window damage, tire damage, wheel damage, and dents and scratches, but not the things that fall under the normal wear and tear of operating a vehicle at the level that you will be with Turo. And lastly, I think one of the most common sense, and yet so many people don't do it, points to getting all of your claims approved with Turo is to simply be nice. The way that I view Turo is I view Turo like a business partner. I cannot succeed without Turo, and Turo can't succeed without me. And with that, there is this kind of win-win relationship that I have to help foster with Turo, which means that I need to understand that as I make money, Turo will make money. But as I lose money, Turo will also lose money. So as much as people like to rag on Turo and their policies, it's important for people to realize that Turo can't succeed without us, and we can't succeed without Turo. Unless you have your own rental car company, which I don't have, but there are, of course, exceptions to the rules where you can succeed without Turo. But at least in my case, I cannot succeed without Turo, and they can't succeed without me. And they, at the end of the day, want to see me make money. But there's a difference between being shady with your business practices and being a legitimate Turo host operator. And with that comes along with treating the Turo representatives with respect, treating them like human beings. I have seen so many screenshots from Turo hosts that are just being absolutely disgusting to their Turo host, whether it be via the chat feature, the email feature, or the call-in feature. And it's important to remember that the Turo customer support representatives don't have any say in the policy. Like, there are some times where some of the decisions are up to their discretion, but in general, the items listed in the terms of service are not items that they decided on. They're not items that they came up with. They're just simply there to enforce it. And I have learned in my career with Turo that if you treat the Turo customer support representatives with respect, if you're nice to them, they are going to be nice to you. I've had a really good experience with damage claims being approved, the time frames in which they're approved, and the amount that they're approved for. And I think a big reason for that is not only because I take my photos, I check in my cars properly, I have proper maintenance on the vehicles, but a big part of that is that I'm just a pleasant person to deal with. I don't treat the representatives like garbage. I'm not a huge jerk on the phone. I treat them like human beings, and I think that they appreciate that. So guys, that is my advice for you. That is my advice for how to avoid getting screwed by Turo. I am a host again with 1,000 trips. I've had multiple total losses. I have had a lot of damage claims, and yet I've never had one denied. I have never been put under probationary period. And again, I credit that to the fact that I don't cut corners with Turo. I don't file fraudulent claims. All of my claims are legitimate. They are not claims that I'm kind of pushing my luck with. I feel like I have done this business really ethically correct, as well as putting myself in a position to not only allow myself to win, but also allow Turo to win. And with that, paired with the fact that I treat the customer support representatives with respect and I don't cut corners, that has allowed me to succeed with this business model, and more importantly, avoid getting screwed by Turo. So if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button and hit that subscribe button. Remember, for the entire month of March, I'm releasing videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So if you guys don't want to miss a video, then make sure to hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell. And I will see you guys in the next video.